Welcome, everybody, to the regularly stated meeting of the Yarmouth Conservation Commission. Today's meeting is for Thursday, November 7th, 2024. Just to formally advise that, as required by General Law, Chapter 30A, Sections 18 through 25, and pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law June 16, 2021, as extended by Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. The Yarmouth Conservation Commission will hold a public meeting at the date and time noted above. The public is welcome to attend either in person or via the alternative public access provided above. Again, this is the Yarmouth Conservation Commission meeting for Thursday, November 7th, 2024. Our first order of business is a request for determination of applicability for Avner Schnur, 3 Powers Lane. It's an after-the-fact filing for installation of a sand fence within NHESP priority habitat, coastal beach, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. Do we have somebody in the audience for this one? So why don't you come on up? And when you get settled, just state your name for the record and briefly describe the project, and then we'll turn it over to questions for the board.
Sure. My name is Joshua Wilbar. I'm the property manager for Avner Shore at 3 Powers Lane in West Yarmouth. Just looking to put a snow fence up to protect the dunes and prevent erosion. We've had quite a bit of erosion this past year there in that area.
Could you spell your last name?
Sure, it's Wilbar.
Thank you.
Okay, questions from the board?
No.
Okay, Paul?
Yeah, are there any violations that relates to this project? Or any regulations that are being,
They had a violation in the past that they have done the required planting and relocation. It was with this generator that you can see there. They're allowed to put up a sand fence. They had done this one prior without permitting, so this is an after the fact.
Yep.
Because the sand fence is already up. And it does go a little bit onto the neighbor's property, and so we probably need to get permission from the neighbor to keep it up over there. Otherwise, that small portion should be relocated.
would it have to be moved off the neighbor's property?
Yeah, I mean, it's not permitted to be on the neighbor's property unless they give their permission at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Are there dates that he's allowed to put the fence up and has to take it down by?
Yeah, in general, so we are waiting for a comment from the Endangered Species Program, NHESP. They have not gotten back to us yet, but in general, their timeline is that the fence has to be removed before April 1st,
Okay.
and then it can only be reinstalled after August 31st.
Okay,
Annually.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and if we are moving forward with approving, then you would have to understand that you would have to be abiding by that and any other regulations or rules, conditions that Natural Heritage would set for, as part of this.
Yes, okay.
Okay, anybody else have any other questions? Brittany, anything else?
No, that's all.
Anybody in the audience have any questions on this one? Anybody on Zoom? Seeing none, would somebody like to make a motion for a -2 with the condition that we're waiting for Natural Heritage Endangered Species comment?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. All right, so the negative is a good thing for you. It means you don't have to do any further filing for the Conservation Commission. Everything is set up, so, but I would ask that you also contact the neighbor and see whether or not they're willing to allow you to keep that on their property. If not, then you'll have to remove that section.
Okay, I'll make sure that's taken care of.
All right,
Excellent.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Next order of business is a notice of intent for SE 83-2353, Harry Hospitality Incorporated, 135 Route 28, proposed concrete patio, building overhang, and stormwater improvements in the riverfront area, land subject to coastal storm flowage. and the buffer zones to a coastal bank and salt marsh. Kieran?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members. For the record, my name is Kieran Healy. I'm a land surveyor with the BSC Group representing the owners at 135. What they're proposing to do is kind of minor in nature, but it's a hotel property. They are looking to, I guess, if we can start off by the area that's green on the left, that's area that they're looking to remove the existing sidewalks and blacktop to go around the building and replant in that area. The main focus of the project is the 30 by 30 foot building overhang that's on the bottom part of the screen, that's shaded, light shaded area. And for that, we're proposing mitigation, as you can see on the middle right hand of the screen over there. We have covered with the required mitigation. We're using 2-to-1 as the mitigation factor. We need 902 square feet, and we're proposing 2-to-1 for that, and we're coming up with 1,850 square feet of mitigation plantings. You will see on the drawing we have quite an extensive plant diversity proposed out here, with numerous plants totaling in the hundreds of plants for this particular project. It is outside all the 50-foot buffers. The only work in there is lawn being removed and plantings being installed for that mitigation area. So, other than that, I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you, Kieran. Questions from the board?
I have one. When we were out there, we're talking to I assume the two owners, and they were talking about putting plantings down towards, on the same side as where the present plan has it. I just want to make sure there's no list there of plantings, so if they are going to plant, I think they need to double check with Brittany that they're okay for that area, they're native. He did mention that he thinks all they're going to do is do the same mitigation plantings up here, but I just want to make sure that's
Yeah,
what.
I'll reconfirm with them that any plantings they do are from the list that we already have approved.
Anybody else? Brittany, anything else?
No, that's all, thank you.
Anybody in the audience? Anybody on Zoom? If not, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the project with special conditions?
So motioned.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members. Thank you, buddy.
Next order of business is another notice of intent for Acres of Pines Association Incorporated, 65 Lewis Bay Boulevard. This proposed hand beach rigging and seasonal sand fencing on a coastal beach and land subject to coastal storm flowage. And just for the record, we are still waiting on DEP file number unless you got something in the afternoon.
You didn't get it.
No. So this will have to be continued solely, at least if for nothing else, for the, waiting for the DEP file number. So with that, if you'd state your name for the record and describe what you'd like to do.
Sure. My name is Frank Zapula. I'm a member of the board for the Acres of Pines.
Could you repeat your name again?
Frank Zapula, Z-A-P-P-U-L-L-A.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm a member of the board for Acres of Pines. I want to thank Brittany and Finn for helping us out with this NOI. It's not a easy process to fill out if you're a layperson, I'll say, but we have done that. Our plan is to hand rake our beach in the summer months from Memorial Day through Labor Day, from the high tide mark up to within 10 feet of our berm area. The purpose is to keep it clean of the seaweed that may build up there, especially in the summer months of July and August, where we get a significant amount of flow and seaweed up that area. So take it off from high tide up, place that seaweed to dry in our parking lot in a designated area. Once it's dried there, we want to move that seaweed to the town compost area. We will hand rake it probably once, maybe twice a week, typically once a week. We make sure we leave the nourishment there, back on the beach as much as we can. The sand, it's very important to us to keep on that beach, and any other piece of nourishment there. But also, it's a good time to, when we do rake, we find a lot of fishing line, lures, plastic bottles, and so forth caught up in that stuff, so we try and get that off the beach as well. So that's our intent for the summer months only, from Memorial Day through Labor Day, hand raked. And the other part of the NOI is to allow us to put our snow fence up, which we typically do around the high tide mark up, and we'll stagger it across the beach area. There's about 200 feet of beach area we have there at Lewis Bay. That's what I had. We basically followed the same process you guys used for, or approved for, the Great Island Ocean Club and other areas they had that Brittany gave us some context around. Sorry.
Questions from the board? Paul?
Yeah, I've been out there before, but what's the size of that beach?
About 200 feet.
200 feet?
Yeah.
And you're talking about raking it maybe once or twice a week?
Yeah, only from Memorial Day through Labor Day.
Okay, and you get a crew out there to do that?
We typically will have a board member supervise, but usually it's a couple of high school kids that we pay them some money to do it for us. They use, dirt rakes, and they'll leave as much there as we can, right?
Yeah, and those are just with like those iron rakes?
Yeah, exactly. And we just put them in, they take them and put them in a little wheelbarrow, I'll call it, and move them off. We'll move them off the beach. We had historically not done that, but with the new regulations, we're going to move them off the beach by our dumpster, our dump area to the right there.
Okay. All right, thank you.
No mechanicals, nothing in the berm area, none of that stuff.
Okay, anybody else? David?
Is there a reason why you feel like you need to rake once or twice a week?
Yeah, it gets pretty gross, I think, especially as the summer months go on. So it builds up there. We have a lot of little kids that play in the sand and so forth. If you don't take it off, you get bugs, and it's very uncomfortable for our members to sit there, like any other beach on the Cape, right? Seagull or any of the public beaches, you do the same, right? So without that, it's aesthetic, I'll call it, but also it's health-wise. You get rid of the bugs and flies flying around it, and it's important for us.
Well, sometimes the tide takes care of it.
It does, but we're not touching below a high tide, right? We're leaving that alone. It's high tide and above is what we're worried about in this case.
So just to be clear, the rack line has to remain, so it's not including the high tide line.
That's
It's
right, yep.
just landward of the high tide line.
Yep.
And just making sure that you keep your sand fencing closer to the dune than you mentioned. You said 10 feet from the high tide line. It should be like within 10 feet from the dune, just to make sure you're catching that sand. And what,
The snow fence,
yes, yeah.
it's not at the high tide area? I'm sorry, we'd have it.
Wouldn't catch, I mean, the high tide line's over here, it wouldn't serve to protect your dune if it's that far away from the high tide line. It should be closer to the dune.
Like,
Is that correct?
well,
It's not going down by the
Yeah, we-
crest, is it?
the snow fence, we typically have put like 4 or 5 feet away from the high tide mark. Not towards the
I
dune.
don't think that's-
'Cause that saves the sand that we've already put there from the nourishment perspective on the beach. Otherwise, the sand's washing away in the wintertime so the snow fence help us keep that sand there, so we're not re-nourishing the beach in the future.
And you're putting the sand fence.
Snow
in the
fence.
Summertime?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say-
November through April.
Yeah,
No,
I mean.
no.
No, it should go up by the-
Yes, sand fencing is supposed to be it's supposed to be helping create dune and for dune habitat. So you always put those sand fencing up toward the dune.
Don't you lose some of the sand below that?
And here's exactly,
Joy?
I mean, this is
Yeah.
the one we just approved. I mean, this is how close it should be to the dune, about less than, about 5
Okay.
feet.
That's where it needs to be, we'll put it there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It doesn't
don't
serve a
put it out
purpose
on
to
the-
put it,
on the berm and berm crest, because that's.
No, we never do that, but, so you're saying 10 feet away from the berm, or thereabouts?
so I think we're getting our words confused. It needs to be 10 feet away from
Yep.
the toe of the vegetation where the dune is.
Yep.
The berm crest is more over here.
Berm crest is the point where, just below the normal high tide,
Yeah.
so,
If
the
that's
beach
where we
changes.
can put it,
No.
no.
that's what I want to make sure.
You put it at within, so in this case, what I would do is I would keep it within 10 feet of the vegetated portion of the dune.
Yeah.
And you want to do it in, angled so that it's maximizing the amount of wind that it's catching and sand as it's moving through.
Okay.
But yeah, it stays, you need to keep it up toward the,
So roughly where those picnic table was,
Say it again?
roughly where that picnic table was then. You can go back to our picture. We have a bench and a picnic table.
Yeah, a bit closer.
Yeah. There's only like 2 feet between the picnic table seat and the,
Okay, yeah, there's no scale on here, so it's tough. But yes, you get the idea.
yeah, okay, thank you.
and I would also, the only other thing as far as the raking goes, I mean, I think once a week is enough. I mean, that's what we pretty much ask the town to stay to once a week.
That's fine.
And then again, no heavy machinery on the beach for any of this. It's all hand raking, and then all of the hand raking stays between the toe of the dune and the berm crest.
Right, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I was curious if you're raking in front of the kayaks. Based on the photos, it kind of looks like there is raking occurring.
It will occur there, that's part of it, right? So if the high tide goes all the way, so we'd be back around 10 feet from that, where we start, yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'm just noting that these plans don't show that you're raking in that area as well.
Yeah, the hatches.
Yeah, that hatch goes all the way across, should go all the way across.
Okay. I also did want to note that when I looked at this on the assessor's map, it didn't seem to match the property line that you have here on your map. So you may want to check that.
Okay.
It seemed like it actually went in front of the kayaks. Or just as a,
So that so it was on the neighbor's property?
it kind of looks like the kayaks are on the neighbor's property, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
Think
but
so.
that's an assessor's. That's an
Ye-
assessor's
yeah,
map,
that-
right? So
okay.
That assessor's lines can be 20 feet, 20 feet or more off, yeah. Yeah, it's, so I mean, don't, you never want to cut or do
Yeah,
anything like
no.
that, thinking just based on an assessor, that's why you should get the surveyor to mark the line.
Okay.
And we had it surveyed when we did our beach nourishment, so I
Yeah,
would
the
hope we
previous one.
did it right then with the proper measurements and so forth, so I'm trying to find the surveyor's map. Yes, yeah, in the surveyor's map, it does, well, at least the abutters map I used, has it going out that way, the way the plot looks. It goes out towards the right there.
Yeah, the little step just seems smaller to me, but
Okay.
if the assessor's maps aren't 100% accurate, that's,
Yeah, it's like almost a key shape, I'll call it.
Yeah.
The way it's laid out in this thing anyway.
You said it was surveyed for the,
Yeah, the previous NOI you approved for the beach nourishment.
yeah, I would see if you can't find those markers then, that would help.
Okay.
And last thing is that the sand fencing is going to be made of wood, correct?
Yes, wood fencing, yeah.
And one other question.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned how people, there's stuff left on the beach, like you said, fishing line and.
Not left, it comes in with the seaweed.
What?
It comes in with the seaweed.
Oh, with the seaweed, okay.
Yeah,
So I was
we don't-
wondering if you had anybody monitoring folks that are out on the beach and making sure they don't leave stuff out.
We monitor ourselves, we're self-monitoring beach association, I would say, there's no police or anything like that. But when the flow comes in,
I
seaweed,
understand.
it's got stuff in it. And sometimes it's stuff like a fishing line or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Brittany, anything else?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Anybody in the audience? Anybody on Zoom? All right. So what we should do, what I'd like to do, we'll just continue this solely for receipt of the DEP, DEP file number. So there will be no other testimony as it relates other than to, except for DEP comment if it would be added with the file number. Okay, so I have a motion to continue for the DEP file number alone.
And so moved. Paul?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
So that's,
So we'll just do, all we're doing is waiting for that DEP file. We can't close it until we get that.
Okay, all right. And do we have to call them, or how does that happen?
no, they've received your application, so they usually get it within the next week of the hearing. If I don't hear back from them next week, I'll email them.
Okay, so should we, we're planning on putting the snow fence up this Saturday. Should we hold off until we get that?
You may not put the snow fence up until you receive your permit and it's been recorded at the registry of
Okay.
deeds.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
But you likely don't need to attend the meeting if there is no comment, so I'll let you know as well if.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next order of business is another notice of intent for SE 83-2354. Michael Freyer, 30 Moss Road, proposed in-ground pool, patio, rinse station, and shed with tree removal and land subject to coastal storm flowage.
Good evening. Thomas Mulcahy, the landscape designer representing the Freyers.
Tom, can you spell your last name for me?
Mulcahy.
Thank you.
So we're proposing a in-ground pool in the backyard, and the property is in the flood zone. There is a bordering vegetated wetland in the northeast corner of the property, but all the proposed scope is outside of that. There is an existing shed that we're proposing to replace. In order for the construction of the pool, we have to remove a combination of pine and oak trees, 12 of which will be replaced with a 1-to-1 ratio shown on the planting plan. And we're showing a dry laid patio with site drainage. And we're also proposing the rinse station off of the facade of the house. If you have any questions?
I'm seeing the rinse station, it's on the side of the house.
Yeah,
It's
on-
the back of the house.
Yeah, on the back of the house, sorry, on the facade.
Looks new already. That'd be safe to say.
There shouldn't be.
Yeah, there actually is one there already.
Brand new.
Just a note.
Okay.
Rinsing station. Nice.
Ask another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just curious why they chose the area they chose to have the pool rather than in the center of the lot. It just seemed they'd have to take down fewer trees, and they moved it over to the right.
Well, there's a very large oak tree shown it's in gray in between the proposed spa and the proposed shed. And we wanted to remove that to create a kind of usable lawn area for the backyard. And we were also limited with the existing septic system that we wanted to keep, so we had to stay 20 feet off of that. And then also adhere to the rear and side yard setbacks to meet pool code. So if the pool were to slide more towards the middle of the lot, then it would get closer to the septic system, and we'd be within that 20-foot buffer. So really, that corner was the only location for the proposed pool.
Okay.
This is all in flood zone?
That's correct. There's buffer zone, but it's shown, and all the work is remaining outside of it. So there's no appetite to keep these the trees that aren't in the footprint of the proposed work. So like these 4 oak trees that are on the side and this really large pine in the middle, they're committed to taking those out.
Yeah, yeah. And just site access, you know, with the, keeping the existing septic system, it just kind of makes sense to come in that side yard and that grove of existing pines. They were just, and
These are
to remove the shed, it just made sense to come in that way. Stay away from the buffer resource area.
Would you be willing to replant with some pines instead of, you're proposing just 2 red maples and some river birch? But you're taking down mostly oaks and pines, sorry, oaks I meant. Would you replace some of those with oaks to get some similar habitat value back? Instead of all of the, I think you had 11
10.
river birch?
Yes, I'm showing, I'm showing 2 maples and 10 river birch. You'd like to see some oak trees?
Yeah, if we're taking out mostly oaks and a couple of pitch pines, I'd like to see some, at least some of those river birch be oaks. You typically require that the trees you're replacing are the same species, if not have similar wildlife habitat value.
Yeah, we can swap out some of those for oak trees.
Great, thank you. That's all I have, thanks.
Approve that, revised plan?
Yeah.
Will we do a revised plan showing that?
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board? Nobody in the audience, anybody on Zoom? If not, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the project with special conditions pending receipt of a revised plan that shows the suggested or discussed change in tree species?
I will.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Digital copy okay, or do you need hard copy?
One of each, please. Just the landscape sheet is fine, from the landscape plan. So the site plan I have is fine. Just those.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Next order of business, a request for certificate of compliance for SE 83-2044, 285 Buck Island Road. This is for Matthew Pelican. Everything seems to be in order. Would somebody like to make a motion to issue the certificate of compliance for SE 83-2044, 285 Buck Island Road?
I will.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. All right, we're moving on. We have a continued stormwater permit application. They still are not through with the peer review process. So for SW 2024-002, 228 Route 28, I will just table that until December 5th, 2024. And moving on to other business, we have approval of meeting minutes for October 17th, 2024.
I moved, anybody have any comments? I move to accept them.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
No, I was absent.
Oh,
Okay.
so we have one abstention. All right, moving on then to project updates.
Yes, project updates. The Phragmites treatment program that we were approved for funding last year has been treated. So we've done the cutting phase in the winter, and all three sites have either been treated last week or more prior to that, or are being finished up this week. And so that's at Meadowbrook Conservation Area, Run Pond Road, and South Shore Drive along Run Pond. So two sides of Run Pond along two different streets, and Meadowbrook Conservation Area with some follow-up treatment and a new spot at Taylor Bray Farm. So that has been treated for the first year. Hopefully next year will be much easier and much less Phragmites there. And for the Chase Brook Park project, we are waiting for our MEPA permit, and we have applied for funding through CPC, and we have submitted for a funding request through the CIP program for the capital budget. And there's a CZM grant that we will be applying for when it opens in June. So that is moving along nicely, but we're doing a lot of waiting for the permitting process now. And that's it. David, did you have anything we wanted to update them on wastewater?
We met Monday. Things are moving along. There's some issues dealing with one of the companies and repaving the road. If you've driven 28, you know which part I'm talking about. I think they did get an extension to November, I don't have the dates with me, to apply for the money from the state. So that's good, and they have given out the contracts for phases 5 and 6. Those are 28 west of Parker River. 5 is to Higgins Crowell, and then the other's Higgins Crowell to the border. And everything else seems to be moving along. Phase 2, which is Phase 3, which is close to Bass River Bridge towards where we are, towards Town Hall, is almost done, and they'll start, Robert Hour start Phase 2, which is the bridge area, the Bass River Bridge in North Main. I may be wrong on something because I'm doing it by memory.
No worries.
Dave, do you think they will actually be able to do anything about the paving?
I'll just say that there are a number of different groups that are unhappy with the way it's done, including the state. So yes, I assume something will get done.
I just want to comment on, Brittany had brought up she made help with a presentation regarding the Chase Brook Park project that's going before the CPC for consideration of awarding monies for that. And I just have to say that Brittany did a great job, and there are some, I think, a little bit of challenging questions, but I don't know if I've ever seen anybody be able to field these questions the way she does. So we're really lucky to have her, and it's a great project, and hopefully it'll all come together.
Sounds like you'll be able to keep your job for another year.
Let's hope so.
So worried.
I also say I went for the walk with Brittany behind the post office, the Yarmouthport, and there were about 35 people there. And same comments. I mean, people thought she was great comments, answered all the questions she didn't know the answers to. She was more than willing to say, it's not within my expertise, but otherwise, it was very good.
Thanks. Yeah, those walks are fun. Hopefully, I'll do 1 or 2 during the winter, and we'll start back up more regularly in the spring when things are a bit more exciting out in the world.
My son agrees with you, David.
Yeah.
Would you, along the same vein, would it be worth exploring getting, like during the wintertime, having where it's more indoor related activities, looking for some, like bringing in guest lectures or something and sponsoring a lecture like once a month or whatever by some, area experts on, we'll pick the topic.
Yeah, there has been a lot of requests for more public education on invasive species and invasive species management, so that could be a great idea.
So we can put together a list. I do that as well. All right, anything else? Should I bring it up, or I will?
I don't know.
Any movement on a
Oh.
7th commissioner, or on?
We will have to do some digging into the talent bank history because we've only received a couple of new inquiries and they were not a good fit. So we'll have to look back in the talent bank forms. And for the position, we have interviewed 2 people and we are pursuing 1 person. We're hoping to check their references soon and hopefully follow up with a job offer shortly.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
I'm going to be gone in the second December meeting and the first January meeting.
Okay.
January 2nd, I think, is the January meeting. I'll be in an airplane,
19th and the
19th and the 2nd. Now, if you're desperate, I suppose I could do it from California via
Or the 19th.
either one, because the 2nd's a red eye, so I'm not leaving till 8:30 at night.
Okay. Ed, do we still have you through January?
yes.
Great.
Okay, that puts me at ease a little bit. Just don't want to leave us short, that's all.
Yeah, I will stay on for a while there.
Ooh.
All right, anybody else? If not, would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned.